Good people, welcome to Mose Knows. I am your host, Mose. Today, we continue in our series of handing out draft grades for the 2021 NFL Draft. Mose is back as your esteemed professor, and I will be handing out grades today. We're going to cover the AFC North. That's right, one of the toughest divisions in football. We got the Browns, we got the Steelers, we got the Ravens, we got the Bengals. We're going to jump right in. We're going to go over the draft picks. We're going to see what each team did, who got better in this division, who strengthened their team, who maybe didn't do so well, and how is this all going to, impact the upcoming 2021 NFL season. Let's dive right in. So we got the Cleveland Browns draft pulled up. We got round 1, pick 26. They select Greg Newsome II, cornerback out of Northwestern. Round 2, pick 52, they select Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, linebacker out of Notre Dame. Round 3, Anthony Schwartz, wide receiver out of Auburn. Round 4, 2 picks, James Hudson, offensive tackle out of Cincinnati, and Tommy Togiai, defensive tackle out of Ohio State. 2 picks in round 5 as well. First, Tony Fields, the second linebacker out of West Virginia, and Richard LeCounte, safety out of Georgia, with the second 5th round pick. And the last pick for the Browns is the 6th round pick, 211, Demetric Felton, wide receiver out of UCLA. So let's go back to the top. Greg Newsome II. I really like this pick. For all of those that tuned in last week, we had former NFL and AFL pro Eric Crocker on the show. Shout out to my man Croc. If you listen to Croc, you take his word for it, based off of what he saw from Greg Newsome. Listen, Greg Newsome got the potential to be the best cornerback out of this entire draft, over guys like J.C. Horn, over guys like Pat Surtain II. Now, he didn't say this explicitly, but what he said is, based off of his film study, this guy has it. He's got the feet. He's got the eyes. Newsome's got it. So he has the potential to be the best corner in this class. And you pair him in that defense where the pass rush is coming from Myles Garrett. If you can get a healthy Jadeveon Clowney for 12 games, 15 games, if you can get a healthy Jadeveon Clowney all 17 games this year, opposite Myles Garrett, that defensive line is solid. And then he doesn't have to come in as the number 1 corner and take the number 1 receiver. That would fall to Denzel Ward. But if Newsome is that good, he may take over that spot. But he's going into a situation with a great defense. He doesn't have to put everything on his shoulders, and he can flat out ball. So I think this is a great pick for the Browns. Shore up that secondary. I think this 2nd round pick is a gift. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, JOK, a.k.a. the Joker, a.k.a. you're going to see him everywhere on the field. He's going to line up at inside linebacker, outside linebacker, probably going to line up at nickel. You may see him at outside corner. He's definitely going to line up at both safety positions. You're going to see him blitzing off the edge, blitzing from the middle linebacker spot, dropping into coverage, covering running backs, covering tight ends, maybe covering some receivers. This kid can do everything. Definitely had 1st round grades. I saw him going as high as 17, 18 to the Las Vegas Raiders. I think some injury concerns is what dropped him. But outside of Micah Parsons, he was one of the best linebackers in this class, especially with what he can do, his versatility. So I think this is a steal for the Browns. I said in my mock draft series that the Browns' weakest position group on defense was the linebacker, and they wanted to leave the 2021 NFL Draft addressing the linebacker position. They did that with a guy like Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. Absolutely great pick. I like the Anthony Schwartz pick because of what he offers as far as speed. I just don't know how soon he's going to get on the field. This Brown team is loaded with receivers. We got OBJ. We got Juice Landry. Donovan Peoples-Jones stepped up last year in the absence of OBJ. It's a lot of wide receivers on this team. So I don't know where Schwartz fits in to have a significant role, especially as a rookie. But he does offer that dynamic speed for your offense. James Hudson is a great pick. Again, the Browns offensive line is stacked. He's definitely a depth piece. Probably use him as a rotational tackle in the event that someone goes down. Tommy Togiai is another rotational piece on that defensive line. We know they're set. Tony Fields, again, addressing the linebacker position. I think Tony Fields has an opportunity to make this team, and if he is not a starter, at least have significant rotational snaps outside of just being a special teams player. Tony Fields is another linebacker who you can use to drop into coverage, using speed, using his athleticism. So I think you add JOK and Tony Fields to this linebacker core, and you immediately upgrade that position. Richard LeCount, another rotational piece, another piece for special teams. And I believe the same for Demetric Felton. He's going to be a rotational piece. Again, a lot of wide receivers on this team, but I foresee trying to use Demetric Felton in a plethora of ways. Obviously in the slot, you can use him as a running back. He did play running back at UCLA. You can use him in the return game, both kick and punt return. He brings that dynamic element as well. So I can see him being used there. All in all, I gave the Cleveland Browns a B+ for this draft. I think they address significant positions of need. As I was going through the mock draft, I was just looking at the team needs, but also looking at the depth chart. The Cleveland Browns have a very, very solid roster. They proved that last year by finally making the playoffs. You know, they were able to beat the Steelers in that first round playoff game, that wild card playoff game. And now they're going to build on that momentum. They added some serious talent with this core of rookies. So I'm excited to see what they do moving forward. Next, let's move over to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I really, really love this draft. What I love about the Pittsburgh Steelers is, you know, they stuck to the core of who they were. The players that they drafted, they scream Pittsburgh Steeler. They just scream it. Obviously, we know first round pick, Najee Harris, running back out of Alabama. Second round pick, tight end Pat Freiermuth out of Penn State. For round 3, they select Kendrick Green, guard out of Illinois. Round 4, they select offensive tackle Dan Moore out of Texas A&M. Again in round 4, only 12 picks later, they select Dan Moore's teammate from Texas A&M, linebacker Buddy Johnson. Round 5, they select Isaiah Loudermilk, defensive tackle out of Wisconsin. In the 6th round, they select Quincy Roche, linebacker out of Miami. And then 2 7th round picks were Trey Norwood, corner out of Oklahoma, and Presley Harvin III, punter out of Georgia Tech. Start with Najee Harris. They liked James Conner. James Conner was a feel-good story, but James Conner was not operating efficiently and effectively as a running back within that Pittsburgh Steelers offense. I think they wanted to get more dynamic. I think they wanted somebody who could come in and do a little bit of everything, offer them a little bit more power, offer them a little bit more vision from a running back perspective, and being able to hit certain holes, being able to, you know, change gears, run people over, catch out of the backfield. I think Najee Harris fits the bill. He's prototypical Pittsburgh Steelers running back. Doesn't always, you know, have to be the fastest or speediest of backs. You look at James Conner, you look at Le'Veon Bell, you look at Jerome Bettis. Those guys were never the fastest running backs in the league or in their draft class, but everything else that they did was so superior as far as, you know, running the football, vision, running in between the tackles, hitting the holes, you know, being able to break tackles, ability to catch the ball out of the backfield. Najee Harris brings that and immediately upgrades this offense. Then you get a guy like Pat Freiermuth in the 2nd round, aka Baby Gronk. He's going to come in, and again, prototypical Pittsburgh Steeler player. Tough, gritty, hard-nosed, going to bring his lunch pail to work every day. He's going to block. You know, he has the ability to catch. He's an outstanding route runner and pass catcher, but he's also going to help you in the running game as a blocker. So he's going to stick his nose in there when he can. He's just going to bring it. Every day, every down, Freiermuth is going to bring it. Look at a guy like Kendrick Green, somebody on the offensive line. Tough, gritty, smaller, fits in perfectly. I love the Buddy Johnson pick for inside linebacker. You put him next to who is there? My goodness, what's his name? Goodness gracious. Why am I forgetting his name? No, it's not Devin White. Devin White is in Tampa. Is his name Devin? Devin, yes, it is Devin. I knew it was a Devin. I knew it was a Devin. It's Devin White who's in Tampa and Devin Bush. You know, you stick Buddy Johnson next to Devin Bush and you have a solid linebacker core. Buddy Johnson, he's kind of that typical old school thumper, very downhill, loves to play the run. He does have some deficiencies when it comes to pass coverage, but I think that's something that can be worked out and that can be learned. You know, if he does need to come off the field on 3rd and longs, maybe you think about doing that. But you won't have a problem when it comes to him being a run stopper, you know, filling in the gaps, you know, meeting the running back in the hole and making the stop. Of the later round picks, I love Quincy Roche out of Miami. I think Quincy Roche is going to be able to come in and fill the void left by Bud Dupree, who went to Tennessee. So I think you can see Quincy Roche filling in that outside linebacker position and being a pass rusher for this Steelers team. So while they didn't address that early, I think they addressed that with, you know, a quality rookie who can grow and improve. So with this particular draft, particularly the first 3, again, love Buddy Johnson, love Quincy Roche. I gave the Steelers a B+ for this draft. Najee Harris, Pat Freiermuth, Kendrick Green, quintessential Steelers picks. Those guys fit the mold of what they want to do in Pittsburgh. Moving over to the Cincinnati Bengals. All right, first round, they take Jamar Chase, wide receiver out of LSU, reuniting him with Joe Burrow. Second round, they take Jackson Carman, offensive tackle out of Clemson. Third round, they select Joseph Osai, defensive end out of Texas. They had 3 4th-round picks. First, Cameron Sample, defensive end out of Tulane. Tyler Shelvin was the second pick, defensive tackle out of LSU. And Deontay Smith was the 3rd offensive tackle out of East Carolina. 5th-round pick, they select Evan McPherson, kicker out of Florida. 2 6th-round picks in Trey Hill, center from Georgia, and Chris Evans, running back from Michigan. And finally, in the 7th round, Wyatt Hubert, defensive end from Kansas State. Love the Jamar Chase pick. I do think they should have focused on offensive line. Jackson Carman is an okay pick, but I think they could have had someone like Penei Sewell at number 5. He's a franchise left tackle for the next 12 to 15 years. He was available. He was on the board. Cincinnati already has, you know, a solid wide receiver core with Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins. So then you add Jamar Chase, you know, who becomes wide receiver 3? You know, you would think Chase becomes wide receiver 3 because he's the rookie, but he has the familiarity with Joe Burrow. He's probably the most athletic and dynamic of the 3. So who knows? He could come in and jump both of those guys, both from a physical and athletic standpoint, but also from a Joe Burrow's favorite target standpoint. So who becomes the 3rd guy? That's something that we'll have to wait and see once we get into OTAs. Once we get into, we're already in OTAs. Once we get into mini camp, once we get into training camp, once we get into preseason, we'll have to see how that all shakes out. But nonetheless, they got the best wide receiver in the draft. Again, Jackson Carman in the 2nd round. I felt like they could have went another way. I kind of see Jackson Carman being used more as a guard. A lot of teams did have him slated as a guard more than a tackle. So we'll see what Cincinnati wants to do there. I do think their 3rd round pick was an absolute steal. Joseph Osai was getting first round grades. I had him mocked in my first round a few times. I think they're getting a player with an outstanding motor and someone who can come in right away and fill the void left by Carl Lawson, who went to be with the Jets. Fourth round, Cameron Sample, again, another solid defensive end prospect. I think he's going to come in right away and challenge for some rotational snaps as a pass rusher. Tyler Shelvin, DT, again, rotational snaps on that defensive line. I think Deontay Smith is a name to look out for on that offensive line. I believe they signed, was it Riley Reif that they signed? I think so. I think Riley Reif is with the Bengals now. So he's probably going to start at right tackle. They may keep Jonah Williams at left tackle. But I wouldn't be surprised if Deontay Smith challenges either one of those guys. Now, you may not move Riley Reif because they just signed him to that contract, but he may challenge Jonah Williams for that left tackle spot and then kick Jonah back inside. And you could see something like Deontay Smith at left tackle, Jonah Smith at left guard, maybe Jackson Carman at right guard, and Riley Reif at right tackle. Something along those lines, you know, if Jackson Carman also cracks the starting lineup. But I would not sleep on Deontay Smith. And if he's not in the plans for this year, he's definitely in the plans for next year. If they move on from Jonah Williams, or if they don't re-sign Riley Reif, you know, they can kick Deontay Smith right in into one of those tackle spots. Evan McPherson, solid pick, best kicker in the class. They needed to upgrade that position. Now that they can at least, you know, feel comfortable if they need, you know, to settle for a field goal and a touchdown. And then of the late round picks, 6 and 7, I really like the Chris Evans pick. I think he's going to be a solid backup running back in Cincinnati. He offers you a lot of versatility. You might even see him on special teams. Wouldn't be surprised to see him on kick return. Wouldn't be surprised to see him on punt return. They probably won't want to put too much on his plate, but he has the ability to do it. And again, I think he'll just be a solid number 2 option for Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. With this draft, I gave them a B. Again, I think, you know, when Penei Sewell is on the board and you need to upgrade your offensive line, you know, instead of wasting 2 picks later in Jackson Carman and Deontay Smith, you could have had Penei Sewell kick Jonah Williams inside and then focused on other areas of your team. So for that knocked them a little bit, but they still got a B for this class. You know, getting Jamar Chase, Joseph Osai, Deontay Smith, Evan McPherson, Chris Evans, that's still a very, very solid draft. And lastly, for the AFC North, we are going to focus on the Baltimore Ravens. They traded right tackle Orlando Smith. Am I saying that right? No, not Orlando Smith. What am I talking about? Orlando Brown. My bad. Orlando Brown Jr. They traded Orlando Brown. See, I'm still thinking of Deontay Smith. Said his name too much, and now I done mixed names. Orlando Brown Jr. They traded him before the draft to the Kansas City Chiefs and acquired their first round pick 31. So they had 2 first round picks. With the first, they take wide receiver Rashad Bateman out of Minnesota. And then with that first round pick that they got in the Orlando Brown trade, they take Jason Owe, linebacker out of Penn State. No second round pick. They had 2 third round picks. They took guard Ben Cleveland out of Georgia. And then with the second, third round pick, they take Brandon Stevens, corner out of SMU. In the 4th round, they select wide receiver Tylan Wallace out of Oklahoma State. And then they had 3 fifth-round picks. Sean Wade, corner out of Ohio State. Dalen Hayes, defensive end out of Notre Dame. And then fullback Ben Mason out of Michigan. Going back to the first round, I think Rashad Bateman is an excellent pick for the Baltimore Ravens. They need a wide receiver of his style, of his type. They need a big body, number 1 go-to target. Rashad Bateman's going to step in day 1 and be that for this offense and for Lamar Jackson. With the second first-round pick, they take physical freak Jason Owe out of Penn State. I mean, this kid is 6'5", 260, and he ran a faster 40 than his teammate Michael Parsons did at the Penn State Pro Day. He's got the athleticism, he's got the speed, he's got the agility, he's got the flexibility to bend off that edge and turn that corner, get after the quarterback. I think he's going to a perfect defensive system for his skill set in Baltimore. It's absolutely amazing. Then in the third round, guard Ben Cleveland. Again, like I talked about with the Steelers, guys who just fit your team and fit your scheme. Ben Cleveland is that for the Baltimore Ravens. He's going to come in right away and solidify that guard position for this offensive line. I like the Tylan Wallace pick a lot. Again, there's a lot of receivers in Baltimore, but Baltimore has been struggling to find a true number one. Baltimore has been struggling to find a true number two. So they have guys on the roster. They bring in Rashad Bateman. They bring in Tylan Wallace. You can't help now but find guys who are going to fit each role that you need, put them in position to be successful and ultimately help you win. He had a great career at Oklahoma State before suffering the ACL injury, I believe, that took him out of the 2019 season. And then I also believe he opted out of 2020. So it's been a while since Tylan Wallace has been on the field. But when he's healthy, he is a dynamic wide receiver, especially with the ball in his hands. I love to see what he's going to be able to do. The Shaun Wade pick in round 5, I think is absolutely amazing. Going into the 2019 season, going into the 2019 season, Shaun Wade was looked at Ohio State to be, the number one corner. He moved from inside of more of a nickel corner to the outside, and he kind of struggled a little bit. He struggled on the outside in that number one cornerback role. I think that's what caused his draft slide. He has the ability, he has the physical ability, he has the skill set, he has the instincts. I believe Shaun Wade is a great corner. I think his struggles is what hurt his draft stock. But he's going to a team where he doesn't have to play that number one wide cornerback position. He doesn't have to play on the outside. Baltimore has Marlon Humphrey and Marcus Peters. He does not have to play outside. And I think Baltimore drafted him knowing that you can come in and you can play in the slot where you excelled at Ohio State and be a dynamic cornerback for us in that position. So I think he goes to Baltimore, no real weight on his shoulders, no real undue pressure. He can go back to a position that was more natural for him. And I think he can excel in his defense. Absolutely. I think that's a great pick. And then I love the Dalen Hayes selection, defensive end out of Notre Dame. More likely, they're going to shift him to an outside linebacker position. He's probably going to be opposite Jason Owe in his defensive scheme. And I love him as a young pass rusher. You may see him as on a rotational basis at first. But I think with Jason Owe and the other pieces that they have on this defense, you could see a lot of Dalen Hayes this upcoming season as a pass rusher in this Baltimore Ravens defense. I think this draft is absolutely amazing. I love the fact that the team, although they didn't have to, Orlando Brown requested a trade and the team didn't play hardball. He wanted to go somewhere where he can show his talent and play left tackle and try to earn left tackle money. The team obliged. They, gave him his wish. They got something in return, and I think they turned that into an absolutely fabulous pick. So the team did the player a solid, and then they came out winners on the back end of it anyway. I think this is absolutely amazing draft for the Baltimore Ravens. They attacked every position that they needed to attack with young players who can contribute right away. I gave this draft an A. Love this draft pick. So again, we'll just recap. Cleveland Browns, Professor Mose gave them a B+. The Pittsburgh Steelers also got a B+. Professor Mose handed out a B to the Cincinnati Bengals. And then the only A of this episode goes to the Baltimore Ravens. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode. Greatly appreciate your time and attention. Let me know what you think. If you are a fan of one of these 4 teams in the AFC North, what grade did you give your team? What grade did you give your competitors, your enemies? the teams in your division that you don't like to see twice a year. What grade did you give to your division? Let me know your thoughts on it. You can leave a comment down in the comment section below. I love interacting with each and every one of you. Thank you so much for your participation and your commentary. I love it. It's what drives me. I love conversation, love the interaction. So let me know what you think about the draft picks. Let me know what grade you gave your team and the other teams in the AFC North. If you want to get in touch with me on social media, I'll leave the links to all of those in the description. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I'm over on Twitch now, and I'll be setting up an Anchor account to be putting podcasts out, So I have video versions when I do live streams, but I'll take the audio streams. If you don't have time to, watch the full video, but you're on your way to work and you want to pop in a podcast and you want to check out what Mose is talking about and what special guests that I have on, you'll be able to get all that information. I'll drop that in the link below. It'll be blasted on all of my social medias so that you get updated when those things come out. Do me a favor. If you sat through this video at any portion, the whole thing, some of it, doesn't matter what you did. You came, you saw, and I appreciate you. You're family now, and there's nothing you can do about it. So I need you to do two things for me. I need you to hit that subscribe button, and then I need you to take another 2 seconds and hit that bell icon so that you get notified every time new content drops right here at Mose Knows. Thank you so much, and I'll catch you in the NFC North episode. Peace.